This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our webinar, Live Coaching Sessions with Carolyn Hamilton-Cuby and Joe Simmons. Just a note, as you just heard, we are being recorded. My name is Jeanette Dewey. I am the Program Advisor here at Coaching Out of the Box, and I'll be your host for today. I'm excited to be involved in this session. I'm new to the world of coaching, and I'm so thrilled to be amongst a group of people who are showing us their vulnerability and their vulnerable side today. Together, we're going to be experiencing the power of coaching. And just a note that I'll repeat, this is live, unscripted, and unrehearsed. Wherever you might be on your coaching journey, if you're just getting started or if you're a student with us here at Coaching Out of the Box, this is a great opportunity to experience our fabulous coaching facilitators in action. They all have different styles and vibes, as we were just talking about. Our two coaches today are Carolyn Hamilton-Cuby and Joe Simmons. Carolyn and Joe, would you like to just pop your cameras on and say a quick hello?
Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be with you.
Thank you. And thank you both for being here today. The chat box is open. Stephanie Eastcott, our fabulous operations manager, is manning that for us there. So please comment, ask any questions as they come up, and note that a lot of them we will save till after the webinar, but if they are relevant during these sessions, we will pop in with a comment to Carolyn and Joe. Now, just a little bit about how our time is going to flow today. In a few moments, we're going to start our first live coaching session with Carolyn to facilitate a 12-minute session with Samantha Davis. So a big thanks to Samantha too for being here with us. After their session at the 12 minutes, Joe will join and conduct a 10-minute debrief conversation with Carolyn and Samantha. This observation is going to show you what can happen in a short space of time and to experience how coaches use the ICF core competencies and the skills that are used for coaching in the moment. Following Carolyn and Samantha's session, we'll go right into Joe with a session with Kohei, and Carolyn will debrief the session with Joe and Kohei. A little more about these sessions. Like I've said, they are unscripted and unrehearsed. Think of this as the improv of coaching. They're going to be figuring out in the moment, just as we are in real life. Why are we doing this? We host these webinars because coaching takes time and lots of practice. When developing your skills as a coach, it can be intimidating, especially when you're new to coaching or even a seasoned professional. It's hard to be vulnerable and hard to be vulnerable in front of others. So observation is a great tool for our learning and for our confidence. What is coaching? ICF defines coaching as partnering with clients, customers, colleagues, or employees in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The ICF sets the standards for coaching, and Coaching Out of the Box adopts the training guidelines and disciplines that are defined by the ICF. Here we have the core competencies from the ICF for effective coaching. I won't take our time by reading them all, but this will be in the communication sent out after today's session. And I believe Stephanie will be putting a link to this in the chat as well. Now, to introduce you to both of our fabulous coaches, Carolyn Hamilton-Cuby is our first coach for today's session. And this year, Carolyn is celebrating 20 years in business and has grown her local company to include an international client base. Her business specialties are leadership development, team building, and professional coach development. Carolyn is a certified executive coach, professional certified coach, mentor coach, and a coach educator facilitator. And we are thrilled to have you with us here today, Carolyn. If you'd like to pop on and say yet another quick hello.
Thanks for that introduction, Jeanette.
Absolutely. Our second coach is Joe Simmons. Joe specializes in healthcare communication, motivational interviewing, and career development. He supports a broad range of healthcare practitioners in using coaching skills to empower culturally diverse patients to achieve better health outcomes. Now, this last line, I have to say, I just love. Joe sent this to me when I asked a little bit about himself, and it is. He is passionate about helping clients to resolve ambivalence about change by meeting them where they dream. Joe, would you like to say another quick hello?
Thank you, Jeanette. I'm excited to be jumping into the fishbowl with everyone. To be here.
Excellent. As we mentioned earlier, the coaching session will be 12 minutes, followed by 10 minutes to debrief. Feel free to add any comments, questions that come up for you in the chat. Now we're going to start off with Carolyn Hamilton-Cuby and Samantha Davis. And I will turn off my slide share here. There we go.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Samantha. Are we ready to start?
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Now, Carolyn, how would you like me to pop in with your 2-minute warning? I can just do an audio pop in and be as unobtrusive as possible.
Audio pop in would work well for me. How about you, Samantha? Does that work for you?
Yes, that's fine.
Great, great. And I am still seeing that. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, is that better?
Okay.
There we go.
That's better. Thank you.
Wonderful. I will leave you to it and I will disappear in the background.
Okay, Samantha, it's a pleasure to partner with you today. And where are you joining in from?
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, okay. I am not too far from there in Kingston, Ontario, Canada, just north of the New York State border. And so I want to thank you for joining in on this coaching opportunity. And I want to acknowledge it can be a little daunting when it's being recorded and observed. And my plan is just to let that go. And I invite you to play with me on that if it works for you.
I will.
And, okay, we're in it together. There we go. And what I want you to know in that spirit, Samantha, is that if I ask you anything that happens to be something that would be uncomfortable to share in this forum, feel free to pass. And,
okay.
and I will, I'll come up with something else to help you explore.
Okay.
Okay. And so as we start in this time together, about 11 and a half minutes now, what would be most helpful to be coached on?
I want to be coached on how to not stretch myself too thin. With being in the new year and setting some new intentions for myself, I find that I have a history of just over-involving myself in a lot of different things because I find that I'm passionate about a lot of different things. I work full-time and I work part-time for myself doing contract work, and I want to get healthy. I want to work out. I want to read 1 book a month. I want to start my women's group again. So, I want to support my friends. So really just, I've been stretching myself too thin, and I really want to figure out what's behind that, or just what I need to do differently. I know I have the answers, but just some clarity around that.
Okay, thanks for sharing. So you've got a lot on the go. And it sounds like you like to have a lot on the go. That might work for you.
I do.
You're owning it. I hear you owning it.
Yes.
And it also sounds
I have to be
like,
honest.
Please. Oh, you're choosing
Please
to be
help.
honest and stand in your authenticity. So it works for you, and it sounds like at this point, though, perhaps not working for you completely. You're feeling quite stretched to the max and balancing a lot full-time work and part-time. Right, you've got it. And so
and I'm a mom. I'm a mom too. I didn't even see all the things, all the titles, Carolyn, just, so much responsibility.
And that role as mom, which is full-time in itself.
First and foremost.
First and foremost. You save the best for last.
Yeah.
And so if we fast forward to the end of this quick exchange, what would you love to walk away with, Samantha?
I would love to walk away with some ideas. Is it me needing to prioritize? Is it me needing to have better time management? Is it me needing to take some things off my plate and learn to say no? Is it so? And I know that's a lot for 10 minutes, but just at least maybe more exploration. Okay, this direction might be better for me, or because I've thought of some things like maybe I need to manage my time better, or maybe I just need to do less, but that doesn't feel right for me. But just an idea of what direction to head in.
So, yeah, it sounds like you've pondered a lot, and there are some possibilities of what it might be. Saying no might be one. The time management aspect might be one, and there's some that resonate for you at this point, and some that not. I don't like, and maybe not. It's not that, but I heard you say before, you've got the answer. So it sounds like clarity around direction to help you.
Yes.
To help you what?
To help me not burn myself out. To help me keep my cup full. To help me just really still meet my own expectations. And now that I'm thinking of it, to help me not try to meet everyone else's expectations, because maybe that's impacting my need to do so much, right? Yeah.
Which of those resonates the most with you to focus in on in our time together?
Keeping the promises I make to myself and prioritizing my expectations over others' expectations.
Keeping promises to yourself and prioritizing your expectations.
Yes.
Owning your desires.
Yes.
Expectations. Okay. All right. How are you going to feel when you have that clarity and direction of how to get there?
I'm envisioning it, and one of my wants or desires, it feels freeing. It feels like I have space. It feels like I have more room when I'm prioritizing my own expectations and my promises to myself. It feels like I can be creative. It feels like I can rest. Right? It feels like I can focus in on the things that are more important to me and less on what's important to others.
Okay. I noticed an opening up even when you talked about the freeing feeling. Okay. So let's fast forward, and you are continually standing in the prioritization of your promises, your expectations for yourself, grounded in it. What's that look like?
It looks like saying no to some things. It looks like being honest about my window of tolerance and my capacity. It looks like not rushing to a decision and really taking time to process some things, to think things through. It looks like being just honest about what I can and can't do.
Okay.
And I don't like to use the words can't too much, but it just looks like being honest about what I have the capacity to do.
And what I'm sensing, and maybe off base, is being honest with what you're choosing to do.
That's it.
And who you're choosing to be in that moment.
Yeah. And what I'm choosing to have.
And what you're choosing to have. What's the importance of that for you?
I feel like it's important to me because one of my values is, or my motto rather, is be true to you. That's my life motto.
Okay.
And I don't always feel like I'm in alignment with that when I'm making choices to prioritize other things over myself. So it feels like I'm in alignment with the things that I say are true for myself and the things that I say I want for myself. That's what it feels like. And it feels like I can still do more when I prioritize myself. I'm not operating from a space of lack. That's what it feels like.
What would you be operating from a space of?
It feels like it could be a space of abundance.
Abundance.
But it's going to
Feels
take a
like-
reset for me. You know, prioritizing myself and focusing on that. It feels like it could be a space of abundance if done right.
If done right. And I heard you say requires a reset. How are you going to do?
Yes.
How are you going to make that reset happen?
I think I'm going to reset by, and I thought of like taking like a 30-day break from everything, like no spend, really using 30 days to, okay, map out my goals for the rest of the year, strategize around that, bring it to coaching, right? Use some resources, bring that information to coaching to continue to flesh it out. And just spend a month just focusing on me, carving out some time to just focus on me.
Carolyn, we're at a 2-minute warning for you both.
Thank you. Samantha, 30 days, 1 month. Maybe 31 if it's a 31-day month. And what might get in the way of that? Because I hear it. I hear your desire and your commitment.
Things that could get in the way of it is just lack of discipline.
Okay.
That would be the biggest thing.
Okay. What helps you connect to and stay in that power of self-discipline?
Clarity on what my goal is, right? So I have a vision board, right? So putting what is your goal, right? 30 days, focus on self, focus on your goals, reset, you know, so putting that in a visual place for me to help me is a reminder. And then I think too, also bringing in supports like, this is what I'm doing for 30 days. So don't invite me to anything.
There's a no there. There's a no, putting out the no. And so
Yeah.
we've got about a minute left, and I'm just wondering, it sounds like an action plan shaped up there.
Yeah.
In a sentence or so, can you share with me what you're going to take forward from your insight today?
I'm going to hold the feeling of, I really appreciate how you said, you know, fast forward to what does it feel like for you to do this? I think holding true to what that feeling is will help keep me grounded in what I need to do to get there. Sticking to the action plan, right? Taking a time frame and being realistic about that, but also using my supports and resources to help hold me accountable and help me sustain what it is that I want to do for myself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What did you learn about yourself in this short time together?
That what I really liked about the conversation was that it connected me to so much of my feelings, which hasn't always been like a vulnerable space for me, but just really connecting to more of the feeling of something and how that is a motivating force for me. And tapping into that some more can be really helpful.
Did we get you where you wanted to go in this short conversation?
We did, because it gave me an idea of what I need to do next and where I am with this, right? Like, it's not necessarily all these things. It's more so honing in and taking some time to focus on myself.
Right. And you said you'd feel free if you got there. Where's that sense of freedom and space?
I'm feeling it already, Carolyn. I have to be really honest with you, because there is a sense of freedom in choosing to make a decision that's going to make you a better person or bring you closer to a goal, or feel like I've accomplished something, and I'm walking away with even an accomplishment of having an identified next step of what I'm going to do.
Well, Samantha, I just want to share that as we wrap up, it's been an honor coaching you in this space. And I want to thank you for your openness and
Yes.
vulnerability that you brought to the table, because that's what helps us open up and shift forward. And it just speaks to who you are as a person. And I'm wishing you all the best with your plan.
Thanks so much, Carolyn. I really appreciate you in this space too, and just helping me to think forward was helpful. Think and feel. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you both. And thank you, Samantha, for being, like I keep saying, but vulnerable with us. That's not an easy feat. And I will invite Joe to join on screen for the debrief.
All right. Thank you, Jeanette. And thank you, Samantha and Carolyn, for such a beautiful collaboration there. Samantha, I would love to kind of sort of follow up on something that Carolyn was asking you there toward the end. She asked you, what you became, some of the things you became aware of, but I'd like to invite you to kind of reflect on overall in the conversation. What were some awarenesses that you took away from that?
I think if I think even deeper about it, I tend to go through like, oh, I need a program, or I need a specific tool, or it needs to be time management, or it needs to be this. And for me, it's like, it wasn't that I needed something to help me. I just needed more of me, if that makes sense. Like I needed more time with myself, right? Like I had some ideas of some things, like what to do for time management or what direction I might want to go in with this. But I think more of me is what was helpful. Like Carolyn kept bringing me back to me, like, how will you feel? What does this look like? Think fast, fast forward ahead. So really helping me to be more introspective and how I need to, I'm my biggest tool and resource, right? It doesn't have to be something external.
Yes. Well, it reminds me in coaching how we, some coaches will say, coach the who, not the what. I like to say, coach the person, not the problem. And so it sounds like you kept coming there. You started with a lot of these other things that, were on your plate and that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then throughout the conversation, how, as brief as it was, you shifted to you.
Yes.
And
with the way she was so well done, Carolyn. But yeah, just with her questioning, because that could have went a lot of different ways. We could have action planned for, okay, well, what does time management look like for you? We could have went a lot of different ways with that, but it was more so, what is the priority here for you?
Yeah, and so what were some of the skills that were especially resonant for you that Carolyn used?
I love how, well, she made me feel safe right away, but I love how she gave me the space to process, right? That use of space and the appropriate use of silence, right? Like knowing when it was like a curious pause for me, and really a lot of active listening, how she rephrased a lot of the things that I said, and packaged it so well and gave it back to me so that way I could dig a little deeper. Really helped me with a lot of exploring and identifying, what does this feel for you? Feelings were big for me in this space and helped me to visualize where I wanted to go with this. And really walking away with a plan was helpful in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing how much y'all accomplished in that brief of a time.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, thank you for sharing those thoughts. And we'll come back to some. So Carolyn, could you speak to what were you hearing? What were you responding to? As you coached.
Well, as I shared and acknowledged at the end, Samantha, you brought your whole self, in such lovely openness. And I absolutely felt the strength behind where you wanted to be and who you wanted to show up as. So you made it quite easy, I'll say, because of your openness and your desire to really find the solution. It sounded like you were in your head a lot with, a laundry list of potential surface things. And yet, I heard or sensed from your heart, and that may be, your spirit, whatever speaks to you, from a core level, that strong desire to stand in your power, to prioritize yourself and your promises.
Yeah, thanks, Carolyn. One thing that I wanted to mention, well, just the word energy is something that really is very present for me in that whole conversation. And so rather than give my take on it first, I'd love to hear what that meant for you, Carolyn. I'm sorry, Samantha first.
Yeah, I love how Carolyn mentioned that she felt that it was coming from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And I also like what you mentioned, Joe, and I feel like Carolyn did a good job of this, of speaking to the person and speaking to the energy. I felt like she did a really good job with the energy and it was really easy with you, Carolyn. It was just flowing, right? Because the energy was just so, the synergy, it was flowing. Like, this was good. We were like in a state of flow. We could have just went on.
Yeah.
But it was really what I needed. And it was the thing that I didn't know I needed, rather.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah. I'll still withhold what. So Carolyn, what was that like for you? What energy?
Well, it's interesting, Joe, because you'd mentioned we hear in coaching, coach the who, not the what.
Mm-hmm.
And you shared, your spin on that is coach the person, not the problem. And mine is coach the energy, not the issue. And so in that moment, I have to tell you, I'm not a laser coach. I typically don't do laser coaching. And so, but I like to stretch. And so that was part of why I put myself out here for a very quick laser coaching session. And I was a little off my game at the beginning in terms of having a split screen with Samantha on the right, and typically I would coach with the person just full screen, and I tried to do that and I couldn't. So I wanted to ensure I had eye contact with her, that there was that connection, but I was getting my head about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took a breath, rebooted, let go, and trust, and hope my eyes aren't darting all over the place, and trust that rapport, and just that breath, just anchored into the reminder of coaching Samantha, the energy she's bringing, the beautiful person she is, whole person, body, mind, spirit, energy, and focus just on that and let everything else go. And I did. And it was like a millisecond, but it can happen.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those thoughts, Carolyn. So yeah, and my take on it was that I felt a physical sense of breath, and I was breathing differently as I listened, because there was such expansiveness to the whole thing. And and I was noticing your backdrop there, Samantha, and I was like, it was almost like you had curated it or actually picked it, for for the conversation, because it felt that expansive. And because you had started out with all of these things that you wanted to do, and that you wanted to accomplish, which were fantastic. And
Yeah.
how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And it's like you came back to your breath.
It's so true. And Carolyn was really helpful with that because of her pace. And to your point, I'm glad you mentioned breath, because I feel like I was able to connect with her breathing. And it helped me when I was pausing and when she would like exhale. Like I feel like it, to her point, energy is Carolyn's thing. That's what I'm taking away from this. That's her zone of genius.
Yeah. As a singer, it's reminding me of a characteristic of chant, and in chant, you breathe together, and that's what it felt like. It felt very kind of meditative.
Yeah, for me too.
Thank you both for that. It's lovely.
Thank you.
And we're seeing some chat comments too, kind of acknowledging that the breath resonated with others. Go ahead, Carolyn.
I was just going to say that was part of it. I'm kind of known, and I'm comfortable with holding space and lots of space, even when it's awkward. I love when it's awkward. And that's the challenge for me in laser coaching, that sometimes, is there going to be enough time for my style? It's not about my style, it's about matching the clients, and so staying with that. And so if the client is more, I can go there. And it's not my style though. So that's part of why laser coaching isn't really a strength of mine. But this was actually learning for me that even I was able to hold the level of space. Maybe I would have held more, but I was able to hold space to the degree that I would typically.
Right. Sorry, I just wanted to speak to Joe's point about the comments. Just thanks to everyone for all these great comments. I'm just going to pop in a couple of here, and you have commented on a few of them already. Beth had mentioned what helps you is a really powerful question, as it's showing Samantha can do this and allows her to shape the action, which was great. Tamara, Carolyn is really tuning into Samantha's words and her body language. I love how she's going deeper with Samantha to explore what she needs as she takes her journey. So some really insightful comments here for everybody, and the nonverbal comments, Carolyn, that you're getting, and how powerful that is for being in tune, as we've talked about with your energy as well, is really making quite an impact and resonating with everybody. So thank you both. Thank you all three of you for that. For being vulnerable with us and showing all sides of yourself there. That was amazing. And so next up, we're going to invite Kohei to come on screen for us. And Samantha and Carolyn, we will see you in a bit.
Thanks again. Thanks, Samantha.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Wonderful. And there we go.
Okay.
Hello, Kohei. Welcome.
Hello.
And I'll thank you at the beginning and at the end and all sorts of times. Just as a reminder on the 2 minutes, Joe, is it okay with you if I pop in on the audio with just a 2 minutes? Okay.
That's just fine. How does that work for you, Kohei?
Works for me.
That's good. Wonderful. I will leave you both to it, and I will. You'll hear from me in a few minutes. And
all right. Thanks, Jeanette. Hello, Kohei. Welcome.
Hey, Joe. Good to see you.
Good to see you, and nice to officially meet you today. And I just want to first, thank you for your openness to this process of being coached, in this public forum, and also allowing this learning experience for all of us through this. So where are you located, Kohei?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
In Vancouver. Okay, yeah. Nice. So I'm all on the other side of the continent of North America. I'm in New York City. So
nice.
Okay. And I've always wanted to go to Vancouver. So what would you like to address today?
Yeah, I was thinking about this and listening to Samantha and Carolyn's session. There's a lot of things that resonate with me, but I think one piece that I really want to focus on is bring in more fun into my life.
Mm.
Just like a lot of others, I guess, I've got a lot of things on my plate, and I'm all about productivity. Like I have a lot of things on my plate. Like I'm working full time. Started this coaching business, and then I'm doing a PhD program, and then I play music, blah blah blah. But then I'm noticing that a lot of times I'm sort of not prioritizing the fun part of my life, and I'm focused more on productivity and getting things done. And and I think this year I really want to bring in more fun, things that actually energize me and brings me like joy.
Right. So you've got a lot of really substantial pursuits on your plate in your life, and there's a call to balance that with some enjoyment, some fun.
Yes.
All right. So given that, Kohei, what would you like to take away from today's session, our brief conversation, that's going to help you feel like this was successful?
Yeah, I think I just need to get clarity on what it actually looks like for me. So to actually have fun, because obviously I have to do all these things, right? Like say, like work stuff, the school stuff and all the other responsibilities that I have. So I just can't be I need to be realistic about my expectation around like what kind of fun I can incorporate in my life, because I need to do, these are the things that I sort of need to do in a way. So it's just a matter of like, how do I bring in elements of fun into my sort of weekly schedule, or like monthly schedule, or even like daily schedule. And if I could get clarity around that, I think that'd be a good starting point.
Okay. All right. So kind of identifying some kind of fun moments, how to inject fun. So let me ask you this, Kohei.
Yeah.
How do you define fun?
Yeah, I think it's for me, just like you, I actually play music myself, and that's something I was doing a lot more prior to this whole pandemic situation. I used to go down to this place that I could busk. So I was a regular busker, so I would go down there every weekend. So I guess kind of shifted gears and started school, and so that's kind of like, although I could technically go down there and play music, I have not been doing that. And it's just that, so one thing is, definitely play music, writing songs or performing in front of others. That's definitely one fun that I can think about off the top of my head. The other thing is, the other thing I can think about is also like kind of a creative side of things, like acting. I've taken some acting classes in the past, and that's something I've always wanted to sort of do a little bit. Not like super seriously, but just wanted to do because it brought me so much joy. That's something that's on my back of my mind, but I haven't really acted on it.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say the other thing is probably like, just spending time with my friends. Like traveling, all these things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of things that stand out to me there are artistic expression and community. How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I think the creative activities, that's great. And then also like, connection with others, I think is also great.
Okay. And so when you kind of dream about this, what is that like? What kind of life are you imagining with these things? Can you sort of walk me through that?
What kind of life I'm imagining?
Yeah, like it's these pieces that you want to bring into your life, and what does it look like? What does your life look like, and how? And let me ask you, how is your life fulfilling?
how's my life fulfilling?
Yeah,
Meaning the
and when you have these things in them.
That's a very interesting question, and also finding it a little bit difficult to answer. But
Okay.
I do know that like it definitely, I feel definitely more like energized, and like just kind of, it's like interesting because I do like achieving things. I do like being productive, and that gives me energy. But I just feel like it's going back to this fulfillment piece. I do feel like something's missing.
Yeah.
Currently. And I think that looking back at the time I was, playing more music and doing the things that I mentioned, at least in my mind, I feel like I was feeling more fulfilled in this moment.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Can you say a little bit more about what that fulfillment is like? You were feeling fulfilled, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, in general, I think I was just feeling more energized. And I was just feeling the sense of I guess sense of this overall well-being, as opposed to like having this sense of like, because right now I do feel a sense of like, what's the word, like the bit of a like flatness, like lack of sort of excitement. But whereas like there was more of like this sense of joy and energy in myself, and I was just overall, I think I was happier. Maybe.
Yeah. Sounds like you're describing a fullness, like life in 3 dimensions. How does that resonate?
Life in 3 dimensions.
Doesn't have to.
Yeah, you know what though, that's true. I think it's more, it felt more, I guess, more complete, or sort of like full. Like, because it's got different elements. Right now I do feel that it's just it's not very balanced.
Okay. Yeah. And so when you get this balance, how will your life change?
I think I feel a lot more at peace. Right.
Okay.
So there's this sense of like I said, a bit of a flatness, and there's this bit of sense of like restlessness right now that I kind of carry with me. But I think that if I could bring in more of that, then I'll definitely feel more at peace and sort of like more like grounded.
Okay. All right. So peace, being at peace, is something that you're looking for. So Kohei, can you tell me what are you learning about yourself so far in this brief conversation?
Yeah, that I guess the importance. So one thing that I definitely thought about as we were just going through this is the moments that I like, how I felt when I was doing more of that. Yeah, and I was thinking more of that, and I just remembering how great it felt. That's one thing I think I almost like forgot. Like in my mind, it's like I want to bring in more like music because I used to play more, but then there's this I guess there's a bit of a barrier between me and that getting there, because it's kind of funny, right? Because I like doing it, but at the same time I'm not really prioritizing it. So there's a bit of a disconnect in myself. It's like, well, I know that I love doing it, but then like I'm not doing it, so like why? And then partially it was because like I think I wasn't really thinking about like how I used to feel and what kind of joy used to bring me. Like as I was talking through this, I remember how amazing it felt when I was playing more music. Say more about that. Yeah, I just felt more like I was in my elements, because like music has always been, for example, has always been a big part of my identity. I've always played music, and it's sort of definitely taken a back seat in the last little while, and I haven't been playing that. And I think part of me feel like, I don't know, like maybe like a partially dead, you know what I mean? It's funny to describe that. But then I realized that, I realized just how great it felt, like when I was like going down there and busking every weekend or something. No, it doesn't need to be every weekend, but just like so much.
Yeah.
And then also I would connect with, friends and other fellow buskers and musicians then. So there's a sense of community
Yeah.
there too. So
Right.
yeah.
Just to
Well,
step in for a
and those,
moment. Sorry,
yes.
Joe. Joe Kohei, you're just short of 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, so when you play music, when you express yourself artistically, it sounds like what you're saying is it brings that fullness into your life, and you're wondering, what's holding me back? We have such a little bit amount of time, but I just wonder if you have like maybe a thought or two on that. What would you need to bring that back? Like, or I'm sorry, what is holding you back?
Yeah, I think it's it kind of goes back to, I guess, prioritization. Like I haven't been prioritizing that fun or like that creative side of things, just because, like I said, I have a lot of things that I can be productive about, like some work stuff or like my business stuff or school stuff. And then I've been sort of like, that's the first thing I need to do. So like, unless I do all these things, I just don't, it's like, I haven't been actively carving out the time to get into that creative sort of space.
Okay.
And that's primarily that. So I think it's more about the prioritization in my mind, but then it doesn't really mean that it's like, I can't, because like, I think the challenge that I just sort of, as I'm talking through this, the challenge that I identified is related to the fact that I was thinking that I need to keep the same, like I need to sort of do the same level of like activities with my, so like I was like, I need to adjust my expectation around that, but I can still bring in some, elements of like music and creativity, as opposed to just try to do everything that I used to do, when I didn't really have all these things on my plate, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So if you were going to do, and we're really out of time, but if you were going to do just one thing,
yes,
to bring that back into your life, what might that be?
I think that would be to actually, like, I can't put the number off the top of my head because I probably need to look at my calendar, but I think carving out the time, like just say maybe off the top of my head, like 1 hour a week to just sort of like, play music or like write songs, or just sort of get into the carving out the time. Because like, if you think about like 1 hour, it's not too much. Like I can definitely afford that because I'm doing probably other things. So like do that kind of thing. That would be like one step. And then if I could get into that, then I probably feel like, okay, this feels great. So like I probably can keep that up, right?
Okay. When do you want to start?
I want to start this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And and what's going to help you stay on track?
Yeah, I think scheduling the time in is going to be helpful, just because I always have this idea that I need to do everything that I have to do first before I actually can do fun things, which is not really true. So just carve out like 1 hour, just kind of remind myself that it's okay, just 1 hour. So like I can definitely afford 1 hour of fun.
Right. And just do what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry we took more time, but thank you for trusting me to collaborate with you, Kohei. And I really appreciate your openness and vulnerability.
Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm going to invite Carolyn to join you there now as well.
Okay, and Jeanette, I know you have to wrap up. So how much time do I have for the debrief?
If we could go maybe 8 minutes, that would be great.
Okay, and
thank you.
So can I just start by sharing, Joe, with your coaching, what surfaced for me is you are such a responsive, committed rebel. I mean, there was the time, and you showed such commitment to Kohei to stay with him, to help him get where he wanted to go. And so I just want to acknowledge that. And your coaching was so beautifully responsive.
Thanks, Carolyn. I didn't want to abandon Kohei because of the time, because it was so important to him. And I apologize to
Joe, the committed rebel. Okay. And man, the maintaining of presence, because Kohei, at some point you had some background noise there, and that happens, and we do what we can do. And Joe, you maintained presence through that beautifully. And I observed such a dance in as you put out, Kohei would share, and Joe, did you notice Kohei shared about the balance? When you get balance, how will your life change? Well, I'll have more peace. Okay, peace is something you're looking for. And just a beautiful dance below the waterline and helping him distill to the essence as well, even as Kohei, as you define specifically what fun would be like. And Joe, it sounds like, artistic expression and community, those two elements, all along the way. And so, Kohei, you were looking for clarity on how to get more fun, have more fun. Where'd you get with that?
Yeah, I definitely took a lot away. I think I still shared that earlier, but I think there was a bit of disconnect in myself, because I love doing, playing music and these creative activities, and yet I wasn't really prioritizing it. And it was good to sort of being asked these questions to sort of realize, partially because I think I kind of forgot how much joy it used to bring me. So as I was sort of going through, like I used to do this and that kind of thing, and that's I used to feel this way. I think one thing that I really appreciate about Joe is that sort of brought me back to like almost like what it felt like, like sort of the feeling side of things. Because I think I still have a tendency often to sort of stay in my head and not really pay attention to how am I feeling. So like like his sort of like questions around like like wholeness and fullness and what does it feel like and what does it look like, sort of really helped me to tap into that side of things. So that was really great. I think it's something, and also I realized that I struggle to answer these questions, and that's something that I found out or realized about myself, which I kind of knew before, but it was a good reminder that it's important to pay attention to my feeling and emotions.
Yes, exactly. And when you said, yeah, I'm reminded of how great it felt, how amazing it felt. Could see. And so, Coach Joe, take that in that short span of time, how you got him there, and with some background noise in the midst of it, staying so present, and also demonstrating that openness and transparency that is in the cultivating trust and safety competency. That helps when we show our vulnerability. It invites the client to go there too. So Joe put out a question. It was something like, what does it look like? What would it look like if your life, it was around that sort of thing, that kind of question. And you shifted it. Kohei repeated it, and then you said, well, how is your life fulfilling when you do these things? Which totally landed. And going there, so coaching, it is intuitive and it's in the moment. That's how you were coaching, Joe, beautifully. And detaching, when you put up the 3-dimension, he said life in 3-dimension. Well, it doesn't have to be, it's that right. Lovely, right? The detaching, connected and yet detached. Beautiful.
Thanks, Carolyn, because it's like, a reflection is not always going to be resonant. And a metaphor is definitely not always going to be resonant, but it's like, well, let's find something that does work, and so you tell me what works better, because, this is not for me, it's for you. So yeah, thank you. And thank you, Kohei, for, kind of, surfing in that uncertainty.
It showed that you stood in service all the way through. And I'm just about a minute left, but I'm just curious, Joe, because I know you're a musician. Did you have to park any aspect of that as Kohei was speaking to his passion of music?
Well, yeah, thanks for asking that, Carolyn, because, for like a millisecond, well, I had to tell myself, I don't know what playing music is like for Kohei. I know what it's like for me. I know what it's like when I feel that. And if we were just sort of having a chat, not a coaching thing, yeah, we'd share ideas about that, but that's not what this is. And so it's like, what's it like for you? What does it mean in your life?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
And thank you, Kohei, for being just so descriptive and expressive about that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And thank you, Carolyn.
Responsive, committed rebel, Joe. Standing in service.
I'm gonna use that.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you all for being here. And I know Samantha's got her camera off up there, but I just wanted to say thank you to Samantha and Kohei for being here and sharing your innermost beings. That person inside, as we talked about off camera earlier, is sometimes hard to show, and really appreciate that you both did that for us today. And Carolyn and Joe, your very different styles obviously resonate with so many when I'm looking at the chat here. I'm just going to be really mindful of the time and everyone's time. It is 5 minutes to 12. I just wanted to do a little quick wrap up here, and then note that everything will also come to you in the slides. So bear with me one moment here, if you will. And let's see here. There we go. Hopefully you're seeing what I'm seeing in our upcoming programs. I just wanted to let everyone know we do still have space in our fast track program to get you where Kohei and Samantha are at the moment. And you'll meet other coaches such as fabulous Joe and Carolyn. We do have, like I said, that's next Monday. We have a la carte classes, as we call them, as well. And our certified diversity coach program starting on February the 1st. All of this will come to you as well in the email communication that's going to come out. Just wanted to make sure you had that. And thank you all again. We're going to keep on the chat here to answer some questions, but just making sure that anyone that is looking for their CCEs for their renewal to ICF, you will get 1 credit for staying for the entire hour. But we will turn the recording off in a moment here. Feel free to stay on. We'll talk to some of these questions in the chat, as well as connect a little with Joe and Carolyn for a few minutes, and as well with Samantha and Kohei if they're comfortable. And there we go, stopping the chat.